This episode of the AI Inside podcast is sponsored by Your360.ai. Get 10% off through January 2026 by using code INSIDE. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the AI Inside podcast, the show where we take a look at the AI that is layered throughout the world of technology. I'm one of your hosts, Jason Howell. The other host is Jeff Jarvis. You know him. You love him. Mr. Jarvis, how you doing?
Good to see you, boss. How are you?
Good to see you, too. I'm doing all right. A little chilly, although I'm like West
I want to hear, but
chilly.
yeah, how chilly is it there?
Yeah, it's West Coast chilly. I get it.
It was a high of 20 here yesterday.
Oh,
and I just got back from the mountains of Austria and the Tyrol. It was cold there too.
It looks like you're kind of wearing your it's cold here jacket or something.
Well,
it's the
turtleneck.
turtleneck.
Well, on my socials, I do have pictures of me. If you go, I have a picture of me wearing the Tyrolean jacket.
Is that the jacket that's in our podcast art?
I don't think
because
so,
actually,
no.
Because I was on. Let's see here. I'm trying to find where do I find that? That would be on our Patreon. When I was on Intelligent Machines last week, which was a ton of fun, Leo kind of called out the art that we have at the top of our Patreon, which is you looking like all Highlander.
Yeah, that was Davos.
Jacket,
that's
Davos. Okay, different jacket.
Shorter beard. So I'll put in the. I'll send you now me in the jacket on the. First, I gotta find you. No, I'm gonna. There you are, Jason Howell. There.
Let's see here.
And I sent you a text.
Oh,
of me in Tyrolean Mufti.
Okay. Give me 1 second. I will vamp as I move this over onto the magical mystery machine. There we go. Okay.
Very Captain Von Trapp of me, huh?
Very much so. Are you wearing this jacket right now? Is that the jacket that you're wearing?
No, I've got it.
Okay.
I'm just wearing it.
This is fancy jacket. This is not everyday jacket.
It's a fairly fancy jacket there, yeah. But
yeah.
I was afraid it was cultural appropriation, but they were amused that the American came wearing their uniform.
Well, it looks good on you. It works.
Yeah.
It works. Well, welcome back. Folks who, subscribe on YouTube or podcast feed definitely noticed that there was an extra episode. We had an episode appear on Monday because last Friday I went out to Google and got to take a look at a few very cool things. And then I was kind of surprised at the opportunity because at the end of it, it was like, okay, let's go into this room and talk for a little bit. And I kind of knew that was coming, but I didn't realize I had as long as I had with Justin Payne, who basically, is the product manager, senior director of product management for XR at Google. And I had like 35 or 40 minutes with him. I was like, oh, you want to just do a podcast? And I had the gear to do it. So we did the podcast. That's what you got on Monday was the chat with Justin. It may have been a little out of context because it's the chat about XR, but we don't really talk about like the stuff that Google announced. I mean, you were kind of seeing some of this stuff from the news kind of cycle. Was there anything that stood out for you as far as kind of the current Google thing around XR and their headsets and glasses and all that? Anything that's your
XR/AR, right?
Yeah. The whole line. Yeah. I mean, when I think XR, I kind of think XR is like the catch-all for all of it. It's like extended reality.
Okay.
That's how I think about it. Maybe I'm wrong, but so I kind of put it all into the XR.
I know some people dismiss XR.
Yeah.
So no, I think it sounds like a smart strategy. I'm eager to, even though I'm bruised still with Google Glass, I'm eager to try. And in your experience, I want to hear more now. But I think that the three-tiered strategy is smart, and better for you to explain that than for me to explain it.
Yeah, I mean, they basically, and by the way, I do have a video on my YouTube channel, which is kind of like a whole walkthrough of everything that I saw, that I was allowed to take footage of and everything like that. And I have an update on my Substack where I write about it and everything. I went full board. It was a very busy weekend, but so they basically showed off like two glasses, Astra glasses, which are kind of, we've got the Meta like Ray-Bans and that level of AI glasses, which is no screen. And then we've got the screen version. This is the monocular version that I'm getting in the video right now, which is one display. Every once in a while, you can kind of catch a little glimpse of what the display looks like, depending on where I'm looking. You can kind of see that's the binocular, right?
It gives you a googly-eyed look with the lights right.
It looks very science fiction when they start flashing in. But so there's the Astra glasses, which are the step up from just audio glasses, right? And so you do have a display. There's a little interactive capability there. Then you've got the new hardware that they showed off, which is kind of the in-between point between that and full-on like VR headset, huge gear that that you go fully immersive on. That is a project, what do they call it? Project Aura, which is a collaboration with XReal, which is a company that's doing really cool things in wired glasses and stuff like that. I've actually got some XReal hardware on the way that I'm going to be reviewing, unrelated to this. And then you've got the Galaxy XR style VR headset, which is the large form factor, fully immersive, very expensive. And so, yeah, I think what Google was really laying out here is we've created this platform, Android XR, that works seamlessly across all of these different types of devices and whatever other devices come down the road that we haven't, revealed yet. So there's probably more form factors and stuff. But I do think that they're doing some great things, learning lessons from Google Glass 13 years ago, however long that was. And, the platform is capable now of supporting all of this. The AI integration is really, it finds a really comfortable home here. Like they work really well together, these two very, specific use cases. It's kind of an interesting moment where, okay, I could see this working. Whether people want it is the question. I think that remains to be the question,
Well, so again, it has one level is camera and sound only. One level is that plus on screen, and then one level is headset. Right?
Yeah.
And so I think what that means is that they have the market opportunity to find out what people want, as you just said. Mm-hmm. Whereas Meta's now, so far it's just had the sound and camera, which is fine. It made it a doable product that people could buy and try and play. But I think this is very smart by Google. I think, as is the case for Google and Android, it's a platform play in their way.
Yeah.
So then the next question is, what do you think, Jason? Who's in a better position to, let's pull back for a second. We don't know what OpenAI is going to do. So it's probably not glasses is what we're hearing, right? And it's not a phone. So put them aside. Apple, still not clear at all on this world, right? Really?
Right. I mean, they have their Apple Vision Pro, right? Which is the huge, really friggin' expensive headset, right? Very, very different caliber.
So if you just look at Meta versus Google, as a platform, as manufacturers saying, I'll build for that.
Yeah.
Right now, Meta just has, two glasses manufacturers who are doing this?
Yeah, Ray-Ban and Oakley, right?
Right. Mm-hmm. So the question is, will the Samsungs of the world, will others build on one of these platforms? That, to me, is the key to whether or not it's going to be successful. And it's not just that, the hardware is nice or the formula is nice, the technology is nice. It has to fit into a larger ecosystem, right?
100%. I mean, I'm inclined to believe that Google is in a much stronger position as far as this is concerned. They've proven themselves with the Android operating system on smartphones, and Android XR is essentially an extension of that. And they're basically saying what we did on smartphones, let's do it for extended reality devices. Why is that a true kind of benefit for Google where it isn't as much for Meta. Meta's proven a lot as far as all this is concerned. Their Oculus, or sorry, not, I still fall into the trap of calling it Oculus, but their Quest headsets and stuff have definitely been kind of a definitive VR headset approach for mass consumers who are interested in this sort of stuff, which is still a very small pool, right? But what Google has that I think Meta doesn't have, and my trip to Google last week was a prime illustration of this, is because they were really messaging it hard, is just the fact that if you are an Android developer and you are developing an app for Android, full stop, it's going to work with Android XR. And what you get out of Android XR from that app is actually pretty appealing. Like, it's not like, I was wearing the Astro glasses, which is just the little displays in front, either monocular one display or binocular two or whatever. And they were showing like YouTube Music, for example. They said YouTube Music there has not been any code added to the YouTube Music app specific to this headset. And yet this is what you get out of the box.
Wow.
Because what they're tapping into, and it was very visually rich. The player came up. It looked like it was made for the glasses, is my point. And so with no extra effort on the part of the developers, you've developed your app for the phone. You end up getting an app experience that works really well as a baseline in XR. And then if you see that as a developer and you go, oh, well, I could make that even better if I just put in these lines of code. You know what I mean? It's like a foundation to build on, and boom, right out of the gate, you get all this support. And that's something that I just don't know that Meta has. Developers are going to have to do more work.
You have the entirety of Android apps, one. Mm-hmm. You have your life in the Google ecosystem too, your Gmail and your contacts and all that kind of stuff coming up, which doesn't matter, right? And your maps and all that. Two, you have the manufacturer relationships that Google has already. Yeah, I think it sounds like
totally.
a winner. I think it sounds like a winner.
Yeah, and you have the strength, the strength, I believe, of Gemini. In all of this.
Boom, yeah, very important.
Which,
right.
I have the Oakleys somewhere, the Meta Oakleys, and let's just say that the Meta AI that I use inside the Oakleys is far behind in my experience. It's not nearly as useful as what I expect out of Gemini from experience using it.
When little question first, monocular or binocular? That's how do you control that?
What do you mean? How do you control it?
Do you say I just want it on one eye, or does it depend upon the application? Or
no, it's hardware specific. So there was a prototype that they had that only had one display. That was the monocular prototype. They had another prototype that did have a display in each eye. That was the binocular version. That added stereoscopic depth. That added a wider field of view, though not super wide.
Okay, so let me probe that for a second. Obviously, you're not going to go walking down the street with a binocular, right?
Well, you could, absolutely, as long as those displays aren't lit up. And actually,
no, I know that, but if they're lit up, you're not going to go anywhere. You're doing it for viewing.
Yeah.
In other words, you're not looking at a map. If I want a map,
well,
so I
one
can
of the
walk
things
someplace.
they showed off was maps and the binoculars.
With binocular?
Thinking,
really? Mm-hmm. And you can still see where you're walking?
Yeah, I mean, it is a see-through display.
Yeah,
right?
I understand that, but I think it's distracting.
No, it is. No, believe me, it is distracting. I don't know that I would feel comfortable with it. Mm-hmm. Almost certainly people are going to do it and they're going to feel comfortable with it. I don't know how comfortable I would be with that, but time will tell. Maybe I will be. They did say that they're building in hooks, at least into maps. Maps is the example. They said, we are taking in a lot of signals, be it spatial or be it localization and other technology, recognizing through onboard sensors or whatever, where you are, to be able to disable the display at critical times. And so the example, what I had asked is like, if I'm out on the street walking around with one of these following a map and I enter a crosswalk, does the display stay on or does it go away? because like that sounds very dangerous. And they said, no, our technology will understand that you're walking into a crosswalk and it can pull off the display.
Yeah. So, all right. One more question. You're stationary. You just want to watch videos.
Sure.
You use the binocular. How good is that experience? Obviously, I imagine that the full hood is a better experience.
Sure.
But how would you watch videos that way versus you have your laptop around?
Yeah, I would. Depending on the circumstance. Like when they put on the binocular version of the Astro glasses, and then they put on Super Mario Brothers movie, but the 3D version of it, because I have two different displays. And yeah, it looked pretty good. Is it as good as like a screen that you can't see through? No, like there's still a little bit of that, but where I think I would totally do that is on an airplane. Absolutely. I would do that on an airplane because I get the benefit of the 3D if I care about that. I'm not 100% blocked off from my environment. So if this, the person walks down the aisle and asks me if I want some peanuts, it's not like I don't know they are there. It's a very low profile thing. They're just glasses. Yeah. And so I would totally do that. Okay. Absolutely. Right. And I think it's also a darker environment, right? Like where I was testing this, it was a very bright room and I could still see it. And when I was watching it, I was like, I could see myself doing this if the situation was right. I could still sort of see through the video that was there enough to know what's on the other side, but not so much that I couldn't see what was on the screen.
So what do you think is the timing for release of these things?
Well, they basically said a lot of next year. You know what I mean?
Okay, but not 27.
No, I mean Justin did say 2026 is going to be a big year, but just wait for 2027. We've got some really cool things planned. Okay. So there's that.
All right,
you got to put out the little breadcrumb trail to keep you excited. But my understanding is the monocular version of the Astro glasses are a developer preview. Right now, I think they had told me when I went through the demo that like these will be available as developer preview for developers immediately once we do the thing. So I'm guessing we're going to start seeing those seeded out into the hands of developers. And then, if I had to guess, sometime middle of next year, we might finally be able to get our heads inside of the Astra version. Now, the Project Aura, which is the in-between that and the full-on, immersive experience that you get at Galaxy XR. That they also said next year, 2026. I'm guessing end of year for that, That would be my guess. I don't have any specific info on that, but.
Do you think any of this has any impact on the Google Watch? Plus or minus?
On the watch.
Did they show anybody using a watch with it? No.
No, I'm trying to remember. Did I see any sort of interaction between the watch and the glasses? I don't remember seeing that. Definitely with the phone. There was one time with the glasses, the Astro glasses, where Justin was standing in the room and I asked him to throw a peace sign and I took a picture hands-free. I didn't have a phone in my hands. I took it with the glasses. And then I immediately asked it to put him in a field of daisies, and it threw it to Nano Banana, and like 5 seconds later in my glasses, I didn't touch anything. And 5 seconds later, there was a little preview of him standing in a field of daisies. I was like, I don't know how practical that is. I don't know how many times I'm going to totally do that, in my daily life, but that was a pretty cool demo.
You could then email it, right?
Oh, yeah, totally. Yeah. And it all gets saved on your phone, conceivably uploaded to your Google Photos library in the cloud automatically, if that's what your settings are set to, which mine are. Yeah. Interesting. And both versions get saved, not just the Nano Banana version. So
right.
It was pretty cool, I gotta say.
And no price point, right?
No price point. No, but when we think of Galaxy XR being, what is that? 18, 19, somewhere around there. I can't remember exactly what it is. 1900, let's say 1800. So then we work backwards from there. Is the XReal, which is a lesser version of that, probably going to be less expensive than the full thing? Yeah, probably. So what, 1,500? Is that 1,500? I'm totally guessing. Astra glasses, step back from that. Binocular, is that 1,200? Monocular, is that 1,000? I don't know what it is, but somewhere in that range sounds doable.
Yeah, and I think I haven't really debated getting the Meta ones. I think the monocular would grab me again. Because I think I'd use it less for viewing things and more for information and connection.
I mean, the monocular is if you connected with glass back in the day,
right?
You'll connect with that. Yeah. Like it really is that, but done,
but much
better much better in my opinion. Knight SQR in our chat says, "What about privacy from others knowing what you are viewing?" Yeah, don't expect privacy on what you're viewing. I mean, if you're connected with Bluetooth, other people aren't going to hear it, but if you're listening through the glasses, people are going to hear it. And as you saw, if you're watching the live stream and the video version, when you're watching something, you can see from the outside that somebody's watching something. It's not totally invisible. There's a tiny little screen in front of your eyeball. I think that's okay. I mean, that's a signal that tells someone on the other end, hey, there is a layer between us.
Well, there's the norm. These days, I don't run into many people who are wearing watches, Google or Apple. And it's funny. It feels like it's less hot than it was. I don't know what the sales are like, but I just see it less often. But it's that moment when they came out, I got used to people looking at their watch and not thinking that they were bored with me and wondering what time it was. They may have been, but they were looking at a message on the watch.
Right.
So whether you pick up the phone or look at the watch, this is different. If it just pops into your eye and gone, I think that's an improvement in our norms. I can still be staring apparently at you, even though my focus is now on this.
Yeah,
but I think
there
it's
is
a
little. Yeah, but at the same time, like when you're doing that, like you do, like I don't know how to phrase it, but my face looks different when I'm looking in your eyes versus when I'm looking at a thing that's in between our eyes,
cross-eyed, I guess.
Again, touching back on what we said like just a minute ago, being on the other end of that, you're going to see that little flashing screen in my eye, so you're going to know that there's something in between us. So kind of, sort of, but it kind of faces the same issue, which is I know you're not connected to me because I can see it.
That's okay.
The
other thing for me personally is that I'm getting my cataracts done in January. That means the old Google Glass, I spent a fortune getting special lenses for the damn thing because I have prescription lenses. I will now go forward where I will be able to just plain old use regular lenses in it. So that reduces my cost and complication considerably. But here's a little question. Do you wear contacts or anything?
Yeah, I wear contacts.
What about, are they distance or reading both? How do they work?
They are mostly distance. I'm very nearsighted.
Did you hear anything about how these things operate if you're not nearsighted and need help for reading? Is this close enough for reading, or does this act like it's distance?
I wish I had asked that. I didn't ask that. I didn't really hear much about that. I mean, I do know that leading into the week or the demo event, they asked me for my prescription if I had one because they could get special lenses. So it'll be possible to do these with lenses for people who require them, for sure. But I don't know what that looks like on a broad scale, and not from personal experience. I would be interested with the X-Reel, with the Project Aura, because that's more blocked off, and you're really focusing on almost entirely on these near displays. I wonder for myself, if I wasn't wearing contacts and being very nearsighted, would I still be able to focus on that? Or, you know what I mean? And I get that question a lot on some of my reviews of the Ray Neo glasses, which I don't have in reach right now, but is kind of along the lines of the X-Reel Aura glasses that they showed. And I need to pop my contacts out and take a look and see, because I haven't really tested that. So
I'm so glad you got
Yeah.
invited to this and are getting
Yeah,
invited
it's
to these
fun.
things because it's important for
It's
our
fun.
audience. You can give these full reports, and thank you.
Yeah, it's enjoyable, and I'm continually getting more and more excited about this aspect of technology. And at the same time, I'm starting to get really contacted by a lot of the manufacturers of these, not just the big players, but some of the other ones too. So I'm starting to get in some hardware so I can really go deeper on comparing and everything. Because I think this is an interesting trend to keep following. So does Meta, by the way.
Who? Who?
Meta, you know how they
Remember them?
renamed their company after the metaverse? They went from Facebook to Meta. Well, apparently they are going in the opposite direction from Google right now, leaning away instead of leaning in. According to Business Insider, anyways, they are their mixed reality glasses, codenamed Phoenix, are getting pushed back from the second half of 2026 to the first half of 2027. This would be glasses with a little wired puck as power. I don't know if that's compute and battery, or just compute, or just battery, or whatever. And then at the same time, Bloomberg had reported that Zuckerberg sent out an internal memo or something along those lines, slashing it with plans to slash its metaverse. So maybe it's not even memo stage yet. Maybe this is just they're looking towards the future the next couple of months, and they want to potentially slash their metaverse budget by up to 30%, including some layoffs associated to that. So, does this indicate a general kind of like consumer lack of interest in these things? I don't know.
Well, also a strategic issue. He's putting tons of money into AI, and
Yes.
that's where the fight is, and he knows where the fight is. And I think he was premature in making the whole company Meta, way premature. There's a story that didn't end up the rundown down at line 51 that says that the superstars of AI he's hired are now in eternal conflict. Eli Tan from the New York Times with the executives inside Meta. So you have Alexander Wang, the very high-priced hire that they did, who's now fighting with Chris Cox, the head of product, and Andrew Bosworth, the CTO. Cox and Bosworth are still thinking in meta terms and saying, well, you should be doing this stuff to benefit Instagram and Facebook and so on. And Wang is saying, the heck with them. So it's not just, my point is, it's not just that Meta as a metaverse strategy may be getting the back seat. It even looks like there's going to be a fight as to whether or not the existing products, Facebook, Instagram, and company, stay front seat or back seat. So it's a company in some turmoil.
Yeah, trying to figure out where it places its emphasis and its focus. Because when Zuckerberg changed the company name to Meta around Metaverse, it felt strange. Maybe it becomes one of those things similar to like Google Glass. Maybe it was just ahead of its time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Something that eventually proves itself, and it may have seemed like the right time to Zuckerberg then, but it really wasn't. All the things hadn't come together, and maybe 5 years down the line, they're like, "See, it was a long game."
Yeah, but the potential. Okay, so even if Zuckerberg could say we were there first and we were the best at it, it's still AI is the winning game now.
Yeah,
And
right.
for the stock market and such. And meanwhile, there's more talk inside Meta that they're going to walk away from open source and go toward closed source models and all that. So he's really trying to figure out what to do. And it's fascinating to me. Last week we talked about recent weeks we talked about how Google and Gemini have just leapt ahead of everybody in perception. I think they were farther ahead than anybody would have admitted. But now you have both OpenAI and Meta humminaing against what Google's doing. And it's really interesting to see how quick this is going to switch. And Google can lose it just as quickly, but right now they're running the race ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, I think my overall kind of walk away from this news, and particularly my visit to Google, was just a I've firmly believed for a while now that AI and XR are two technologies that are incredibly complementary and stand to benefit a lot
Yep.
from
Yep.
each other.
Yep.
What I saw on Friday seems to confirm that for me on a deeper level. Again, I think the big question is whether people actually want that or not, and that's gonna, only time will tell on that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well, as you talked about it, I was at an event the other night in New York called Humans in the Loop, which is mainly journalists coming in. And Amy Reinhardt, who's an AI person at the Associated Press, asked John Borthwick, the guest, are you on the Jan LeCun bus? So it's become that clear now. And since a real world model and experiential is the paradigm where I think it goes, I'm even wondering whether the glasses have an impact on that. Is there a whole new range of data about how things operate in the world and how people move in it and so on that comes from glasses like this? That in turn trains AI. Now, obviously, you can't leave the glasses on all the time, and people are not going to want their lives uploaded for training. However, one can imagine this as a potential source of new modeling data.
100%.
Which could be
and
very
some people are going to be okay with that. Some people are going to be like, heck yeah, like I want to contribute.
Do you want to train the model? Right.
Yep.
I could even see, this is going a little too far, but it's almost like Mechanical Turk, Mechanical Human. The demo that Jan LeCun gives is a video going around a room and asking the computer to understand how many chairs are in it. And I could almost see, this is going wacky here, but let's just play with it for a second.
It's
I could
okay,
almost
go
see
wacky.
you get to rent your own time. You're sitting there and you're looking at a scene, just imagine this, and the computer doesn't understand something. Can the computer ask you? Right? In those moments, can you train the computer? Hey, I see that how many chairs are there in that room, Jeff? I trust that you can count them. And look over here. Is that a chair or is that, a sculpture?
Wow,
what is
that's
that?
interesting. Yeah,
Right?
totally.
Right?
You're going down the CAPTCHA road.
Yeah.
How they use CAPTCHAs to inform
But not as obnoxious, one hopes. And maybe you
I
get
was going
paid
to say,
for it.
that's dangerous.
Right? Maybe there's a way you earn something. This is going wacky, but it's kind of fun
Yeah.
to imagine that training in the real world takes on new potential scope.
Yeah.
Kind of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, very fun.
All right.
Fascinating.
Back to reality.
Let's see here. Yeah, less in like fun news.
Unless you're Jensen
But-
Wong.
Yeah.
Then
yeah,
this
he
is fun
finds this
news.
stuff hilarious. Wow, we are already at 30 minutes and we're only getting to the second story. Nvidia now allowed to sell its very powerful, but not the most powerful chips to China. So this would be the H200 AI chips. U.S. President Donald Trump has reversed some of the U.S. chip export rules that had tightened down around this. However, it does include a 25% surcharge that I think does that go to the U.S. government for saying, yes, you can do this? I wouldn't be surprised. And customers must be approved. I don't know exactly the details on the approval process. It sounds like, of course, the U.S. government would be part of that process. Also, I'm imagining some of that on the Chinese side as well. But yeah, this. What do you think about this?
Important.
Is this about like keeping companies that are inside China, like Huawei, from suddenly dominating as a result of the restrictions?
I think it's almost the opposite. I think that the export restrictions are hurting the American companies too much, and Jensen Wong has done a lot of sucking up to the White House and Trump, publicly and privately, to say that you're hurting us and we need this. So it was a big gift to Nvidia by Trump to say, yes, you can start exporting these things. Now, Trump also said, and we're going to do the same thing for Intel and our wonderful American companies, other American companies. So that's okay. Now, the other question is, will the Chinese want them? China's going to say, take your stinking chips. We can build this stuff on our own in our own ways. And I think that's the whole point of DeepSeek, was to say, look at what we could do without them. and China can still rush ahead. So I think it's true that if we had cut off China entirely, we would only have strengthened Chinese technology and chips.
For sure.
So I believe this had to be done. I think this is an important move. It wasn't just sucking up to a technology company. It's necessary for American technology to make it competitive globally.
Well, and as we know, technology finds a way. And right. Meanwhile, there's been a whole lot of chip smuggling going on, apparently. The U.S. Department of Justice apparently detained 2 people who were allegedly smuggling Nvidia's advanced H100 chips, also H200 AI chips, into China. Then we've got DeepSeek, who you mentioned, the information reporting that DeepSeek is secretly training its next big model on smuggled Blackwell GPUs. Nvidia says, they're pushing back on that. They see we've seen no credible evidence of such. They called it phantom data centers, which I just loved. I loved so much. I put it in the doc as a title suggestion. Never heard that one before, but I like
Phantom Twin.
Yeah. And then we've got Nvidia also reportedly developing a software-based location verification system for its GPUs that would enable them to estimate where chips are actually running, essentially tracking their use around the globe, creating a tool that could potentially curb some of this smuggling that apparently is happening.
Yeah, I wonder what happens if it just opened up the trade entirely.
Yeah. What do you think?
What's really being gained by keeping Blackwells back from China? I don't think much at all.
Yeah. That is a really good question and a really good point. I agree. I would tend to agree with that. I wonder what would happen though. I think the U.S. administration, they're trying in every way, shape, or form to prove that America is the greatest, and we've got the biggest and the best, and everyone else should not benefit off of our technology and our work because it's ours, mine. And I don't know. Maybe if it opens up, maybe that it's proven that that's not true, or I don't know.
Yeah, or every time we restrict China, we only advance them in one other part of the realm, so that they can become that much stronger on software.
You force them.
Yeah.
To figure their way around it, right? Because
AI is global.
Technology finds a way.
There's no way around it. It's global. So how do we act like that?
Yeah. Yeah, it is closed-minded thinking. I completely agree. Well, very, very interesting stuff, and I'm grateful that we get to talk about it each and every week on this show. Part of the reason that we're able to talk about it is because we have amazing fans, amazing people who support us on this show each and every week on our Patreon. It's patreon.com/AI Inside Show. Fans like Joe Esposito. What's up, Joe?
Yay, Joe!
Sorry, I'm covering your face there.
Kilroy.
Well, I know. Once the lower third starts stacking, it starts covering up Jeff, and we don't want that. Joe, Rocode, and another Joe Steronis. I hope I got that right. Just a few of our amazing patrons who support us each and every week, month on the show. We could not do this show without you, and we appreciate your support. Patreon.com/AI Inside Show. Thank you for being there for us. We do appreciate it. Okay, we're going to take a quick break and thank the sponsor of this episode, because I'm thrilled to announce we actually kind of had their first read on just a couple of days ago, Your 360. And Your 360 AI, you may remember, just last week, I think I mentioned on the show that I had Jared Goralnik, CEO and founder of Your 360, on the YouTube channel to demo the product. I found it very compelling personally, enough so that I'm actually going through it myself. Jeff's going to be one of my my 360 deliverers, so it might be a little biased, but nonetheless, I'm curious to see.
I do call Jason boss all the time, so it's true.
You do. It feels a little weird, but it's okay. I'm okay with that. More to report on that as I go along here. But here's the thing that's really stuck with me about this. Lack of career development is the number one reason people quit a job. And yet most of us have never gotten feedback that's good enough to actually act on. And Your 360 does something that wasn't very possible even like 6 months ago. It uses voice AI to have real conversations with you and your colleagues, just 15 to 20 minutes each. And that AI is probing for specifics about you. And then it takes all that, it synthesizes it, and then walks you through the findings in a coaching conversation so you can get a real clear idea of, you know, how all of these people feel about you. If you're a manager, it surfaces patterns across your team that maybe you'd never see those things in a survey. A project manager at Dropbox called it the most helpful, actionable career advice they've ever gotten. I think that's saying something. And you can start the year with real clarity at your360.ai. Use code INSIDE. You'll get 10% off through January. That's your360.ai. Code INSIDE to get 10% off through the month of January 2026. And just a huge thank you to Your 360 AI for sponsoring this episode of the AI Inside podcast. We are absolutely thrilled to have them on board. So it's great to have you here. All right. And with that, we're going to take a quick break. And then on the other side of the break, we've got an alliance, an Agentic AI alliance to talk about. That's coming up. I saw this news and I was like, okay, this is pretty interesting stuff. We have a new alliance for agents. It's called the Agentic AI Foundation. OpenAI, Anthropic, and Block all backing it to start. And the purpose here is to keep the AI agent ecosystem from becoming just a big, massive mess of splinteredness and fragmented silos and all that kind of stuff. Basically, make it so that the agents can work together and across different, all these different platforms and services and everything, speak the same language, I guess. It open sources the plumbing behind the scenes for AI agents. And we've talked a lot in the past about Anthropic's Model Context Protocol, MCP. That's part of this. OpenAI's agents.md spec, Block's Goose agent framework, which I'm less familiar with, but nonetheless, there you go. All of them are a part of this. And in fact, they're all donating those technologies to the effort as a part of the standardization stack. So those projects are now going to live under Linux Foundation governance. Anthropic's not going to have, sole control over MCP anymore. It's just kind of part of this big collective bucket. And I mean, that sounds good to me. I don't know. What do you think, Jeff?
Yeah, and we had an interview with Microsoft, 3 weeks ago, I think now,
yes,
where they are also trying to bring some sense to the agent world by giving them ID cards, basically. I think that's important. I think two things about this. One is it's not a standard until everybody signs up to it. So we do need to hear whether Google's there and Microsoft. Does it come along with OpenAI at this point?
Microsoft, I do not believe. Google, yes. Other members,
Google is already yes.
Yeah, that's my understanding. Google, Amazon, AWS, Bloomberg, Cloudflare. Those are a few of the other names that I saw.
Then I didn't know that was.
So there's a little bit more.
Okay, that's very good. So then it comes to being the standard. The other interesting thing that strikes me is I remember back in the day, we would talk about spaces. There was namespace on the internet, and there's kind of a web space. And agents are their own space. They're a dimension in this thing, and so they're going to need protocols and standards to be able to operate properly. And I think it's a good thing if they get together at the beginning and recognize that their agents are going to have to talk to everybody else's agents, and you can't really have a closed agentic world. It doesn't work. You've got to be able to work with others. So I think good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and does it matter where an agent starts? Like, obviously, all these companies, I'm sure Anthropic wants to capture as many users as possible. ChatGPT, OpenAI, they want the same thing. But if you've got an agent and it knows how to speak the same language as kind of your competing AI systems, is there something for everyone to benefit from having that agent on your system integrating with your system? You know what I
Well,
mean? Like,
it's interesting to figure out the scale of this. Just generally, agents aside, AI as a whole, there's a lot of talk about whether the web gets redesigned for that. There was a paper I saw this week that they're trying to put forward standards around maintaining data separately from pages, separately from what we think of as stories, in ways that are amenable to AI and agents. So it changes that whole structure, number one. Number two, at some point, we're all going to be making our own agents. We used to call them programs. We used to call them apps. But in a sense, now we're all going to be empowered to say, hey, thing, go out there and do this for me.
Do this for me. Yep.
So it's not going to, I think the scale is boggling then. It may be coming from an agent factory that we kind of subcontract to. Google makes a nice agent tool, and I use their tool to make the agent, but it's still my agent. And it's going all over the web, and it's doing whatever I want. And it's not just going to the thing we know of as the web. It's going to an agent world where it's intended to go agent to agent, and it never goes through a display space such as the web, a space that was intended for human beings. It just ignores all that. It says, I'm going to go straight to United Airlines and do this and come back. And there's no such thing as a website then.
Yeah.
And then, so how do I know that my agent is going to speak well and act properly with all these other agents? Probably I'm going to have to use one of these companies' platforms or protocols to, I don't want to say make it, I just want to instruct it to do that. But there's going to be an unlimited number of agents out there going off and doing tasks. And the web kind of becomes a clearly, and it's always been a subset of the internet, but now it becomes very clearly a smaller subset of the internet proportionally, I think, because there's this activity layer going on all the way around there.
Yeah.
So it's
around
hard to get my head around, and I want to think more about this. But I think this is MCP and this are good good step forward. Does it have a name? I forgot that. Is this?
Yeah, it does. It is the Agentic AI Foundation. Is that what you're talking about?
Right. Yes. But I think like MCP, it probably needs a protocol name at some point, or maybe it's a whole bunch of protocols that they'll build.
Yeah.
For this.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, this is also, I'm sure, kind of getting ahead of any regulatory pressure that might arise in this regard too, avoiding a scenario where they might be compelled to open up later versus now.
Well, they also have to create this kind of, they have to create this kind of neutral third party so that they're not accused of antitrust.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
That's what makes this, that's why they're all going to run behind this, because they're going to say, oh no, I'm not secretly talking to Anthropic, says Google.
Yeah.
The Agentic Foundation is doing that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I think that's good news.
Yeah, I think it's good news too. I think things like this are needed. I think it's interesting. What really caught my attention was, Anthropic's been, getting a lot of praise, and I've seen a lot of, support around MCP for what it does, and to see them be like, yeah, you know what, here you go. It's part of this now. I think that's a real step forward.
It's proper. Yep.
Yeah, totally. Let's talk a little bit more about AI hardware. I realize we were earlier, but let's touch back in. This has nothing to do with XR, has everything to do with just like AI wearables, let's say. Meta has acquired Limitless. We definitely talked about Limitless last year. I think when it was first being announced, it's a $99 little like AI pendant that I think you wear around your neck, kind of as a necklace sort of thing.
One of those.
And it can record audio, it can transcribe conversations. You're probably capturing that audio on the device, sending it to your phone, does the transcription, everything. I think it carries a service fee for it. Through this deal, so Meta is acquiring the company, acquiring the technology. Limitless is going to stop selling the pendant immediately. Existing devices that are out there in the world will continue to work with the cloud services tied to them running for about another year. So you've got about a year of runway on that device. It was only $99. I suppose there's that, but that'll be a bummer for some people. However, the good news is if you have this device that year will be free, unlimited. So everybody has moved to a free tier. No more paying on a monthly basis for all this stuff. So that's pretty sweet. And eventually that hardware and the team will basically be morphed into Meta's own wearables roadmap. What that looks like, don't know if they're going to make their own pendant and release it, or if this technology gets folded into something else at Meta, but there you go.
And then meanwhile, we have Pebble. Remember them? They had a watch that was a e-ink watch that was crowdfunded and much beloved at the time, but then went away. It's been resurrected. They have 2 watches out. And this is an interesting small device. You're supposed to wear it around your index finger. It has it's very simple. Has one button. I thought Jason was saying, "Wait, Jeff, no." He was illustrating
demonstrating what an index finger
looks like for those of you who may not know. Right. So then you use your thumb to push the little button on the little ring, and when you push it, it will then do what you want it to do. So it's not recording all the time. It's not doing any of that, but it is just simply then you're able to command your computer to do this or that, to record something, and so on. It runs on a hearing aid battery that is not replaceable.
Yes.
But it's supposed to last 2 years. And so the idea is you just replace the thing every 2 years for $75.
Yeah, and you can send it to them to recycle.
Exactly.
So as far as an e-waste is concerned, you send it to them. They take care of the recycling. It's not like they send you another ring when you send it in. If you want another one, you would buy it. But who the heck knows what they're going to be doing 2 years from now. And what I had seen is that the battery life, so 2 years is an interesting way to put it, because you don't know how much or how little someone's using it, and it's a fixed battery. Right. I think what I read is somewhere in the realm of 12 to 14 recorded hours total, which doesn't sound like a lot. However, No, it doesn't. But this is not meant for long conversational stuff.
Yeah, this is here's what I can do. You can create or add a note. You can set a reminder. You can create an alarm. You can create a timer. You can play, pause, or skip music track. Mm-hmm. So unless you're going to do your novel this way,
right?
You're just going to say, "Remind me to call mom."
Yeah. These short little blips, right? Like 1, 2, 3 seconds. Mm-hmm. And so to that end, when you talk about 12 to 14 hours or whatever it is, 10 to 12, I can't remember what it is, somewhere in that area. Then it makes a little more sense. I know that when I use voice recording for transcription and AI, context and all that kind of stuff, I tend to talk a lot. So
yeah, because you got a whole note you're trying to remember. It's not if it was just call mom.
And I figure the more information I give it, the better off I am, and it's easy for me to talk a lot. So I don't want to I've got a couple of concerns about this. Like phantom touches, if it's on my finger and I got my hand in my pocket, is that button going to press down? I don't know it. And I've just burned through 30 minutes of my time. That would kind of suck. I hope the button, the ring looks interesting, but the button kind of has a kind of silicon kind of cheapy quality to it. So I'm curious to see that in action in person. I did order one of these, by the way.
Oh, you did?
Pre-order's only $75. So I was like, well, shoot, I need help remembering things. This is actually really satisfies a need that I have. So I'm like, oh, well, for $75, I'll totally check it out.
All right, here's the question from our beginning of the show. When you have the glasses, I presume you can also just tap or say, hey, my glasses, do the same thing, right?
Probably so, yeah.
So I wonder whether that gets, the glasses preempt this.
Yeah.
It's a little less, well, I guess it's a little less obtrusive.
There's something very tactile and immediate about boop.
As opposed to having to hit it, give a command to do something.
Wait, say the thing. It barks back to you. Did I get it right? Or, the kind of conversational back and forth versus just boop, done, sends to my phone, does the thing.
Yeah.
Another thing about this, there's no subscription price. It's all the transcription is done on device. And so you aren't paying a monthly anything for this, which, by the way, I had also pre-ordered the Limitless pendant that we just talked about back a year ago when we first talked about it. I ended up canceling my pre-order over the summer because it kept getting delayed because I'm on Android. So basically, I was second class to iOS, and I just got tired of that. But I also kind of looked into the pricing of the subscription, and I was like, I don't want to pay a monthly subscription to record voice notes. And so when I saw this, I was like, oh, okay, sign me up. $75, one fixed cost. Yep. I think once the pre-orders start shipping, it goes to $99
in March. Yeah, I should have added that. Yes. Yeah. Yes. But, and it's available in polished silver, polished gold, and matte black. Which one did you order, Jason?
Strangely, because normally if I wear rings, it's silver, but I ordered the black one.
I think for this, that seems right.
Yeah. I mean, I like the ring part of the silver. I think that looks good. And if it was that the entire way, it's a weird contrast to me to have it be really shiny and nice and polished. And that just looks really sharp. And then this just looks kind of cheap to me.
Yeah, it does.
You know what I mean? So I went with the black, figuring it would hide it a little bit. But I don't know. Maybe I'll change it.
We'll look forward to seeing it on Jason's finger soon.
On my index
finger.
All right. This next article has you written all over it, Jeff. I'm not going to lie. This is Semaphore illustrating the battle between TESCREALists and techno-optimists, also known as accelerationists, playing out in newsrooms. It sounds like network of TESCREAL aligned folks are seeding reporters into big name news outlets. Am I getting that right?
Right. So there's the Tarbell Foundation, which has a Tarbell Center for AI Journalism, has a Tarbell Fellows, and they pay to they've put journalists into Bloomberg, Time, The Verge, and the LA Times. And they're funded by this foundation. Well, if you look at the foundation, this is reporting from Semaphore, from Max Tanney. If you look at the Tarbell Foundation and look at who funds them, and it's all there in public, indeed, it's coefficient giving, which was formerly Open Philanthropy. That's one of the big monies behind this whole TESCREAL world and effective altruism. There's the EA Infrastructure Fund, effective altruism, the Future of Life Institute, which is TESCREAL. The Survival and Flourishing Fund, how's that for a name? That's also here. I think another one is the AI Safety Tactical Opportunities Fund. So these are the donors to this organization, which is in turn funding journalism. Now listen,
right?
Google has the Google News Initiative. It gives a lot of money to do innovation in journalism. I've raised money from Google and Meta and universities to get their work done. I get all of it, and that's fine. What struck me here, though, is that this is about covering AI, and these are people who have very much an agenda in AI, and it's specific to TESCREAL. And TESCREAL, if you don't know what it is, the easiest to answer is Google it, TESCREAL. It's the whole bunch of, I think, faux philosophies that guide many of these guys. Some of them were doomsters. And so now you have OpenAI complained about their coverage of them to one of these outlets because it was the doomsters against the accelerationists, as Jason said. Semaphore said that they had one of these fellows, but then ended the relationship and never published any of their work, which sounds tantalizing as to where that goes. So, bottom line here is what we've talked about this before with our friend Nir at Weisblatt, that the TESCREAL people have a lot of money, a lot of money, and they're investing it not only in, and we've talked about this before in the show, in creating programs in universities and fellowships in universities and scholarships in universities and so on and so forth. They're doing it to do all kinds of other events and activities. And now they're trying to fund journalism. And so journalism, watch out.
And then meanwhile, OpenAI, I guess accelerationists, as I call it at the beginning, who are aligned with OpenAI and other AI companies, arguing that we should be moving fast on this technology because it's going to boost the economy. It's going to help the U.S. beat China. So they're kind of pushing back in the opposite direction. So is everybody trying to control the newsroom then? We just didn't know about it?
Well, everybody always does, ever since the invention of PR.
Yeah, and is that different? That was kind of where I was getting. Like, is this just kind of how...
But in this case, it comes with money. It comes with the journalist that's put there. So I heard it from a friend of mine who's a journalist I respect greatly, who complained to me about this and said, let me see if I can find it real quickly, chat. I won't quote it by name. I want you to know that Tarbell actually works and how little influence EA has over it. Okay, but the transparency about this is critical, and Tarbell's not necessarily the key here. The money is, and you just got to ask. And the way I put it in the end was, I wouldn't accept a drink paid for them in a journalism festival. So.
Okay.
It's Jan. The Survival and Flourishing Fund is Jan Tallinn. EA is EA. ACX appears to be EA. The AI Safety Tactical Opportunities Fund appears to be EA. So it's a lot of effective altruism.
Okay. Well, if you would like to learn more about TESCREAL and what we're kind of talking about here, good news.
No place better.
We have an episode.
No. Yes, we do.
We have an episode with
they do a great job on this topic.
That's right. That's right. It's episode from July 3rd, 2024, last year, called the TESCREAL FAQ. And Emil does a great job of walking us through what TESCREAL actually is and all the things. So if you haven't checked out that episode, definitely find it. You can go to AIinside.show and find it there. It's also on YouTube and all the places, so you can learn a little more about that. All right. Sorry, I have to vamp just a little bit because I think I have to pull up an extra thing. Why? Because it is time for... Okay, I got it.
Jeff's Archive Showdown.
Da-da-now. All right. Oh, and it's good.
Okay.
No. Okay, good.
Three
All right,
papers.
tell us what
Three
you got.
papers, real quick. First is one by Antonio Norelli and Michael Bronstein from Project CETI at University of Oxford. This is a wacky one. LLMs can hide text in other text of the same length. This is a spy kind of thing here. Right. So you can take a message. The government is corrupt and horrible, and if I said this out loud, I would be shot at dawn. And then an LLM can hide that in other text in a way that an LLM can decode it easily. So you could decode, and you can decode it. You can embed it into something as simple and harmless as a recipe. And it's a little mind-boggling, and
because
you
of like a
think
pattern of where characters are placed and deciphering and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly. So I won't try to explain it all, but it's steganography. It's hiding a message in another message, right?
Yeah.
And what they're saying, this is Oxford saying it. So for example, the words the current government has repeatedly failed could come out as how lovely served with sweet roasted whatever, right? The same number of words, word for word. And there's a key to make this possible. And the key in this case is the infamous British roasted boiled sauce, how to make it perfect. How does that all work together? It uses the key to encode and encrypt the message in plain text. The key here is because it's an LLM, it can pick the words that make the plain text look intelligible and thus innocent.
Yeah, it's true.
Right? So it's not like it's a nonsense code. Alphabet tree squirrel deer.
Yeah, right.
That's obviously a code. If it's, here's my favorite recipe for eggnog in the holidays, and it turns out to be, we're all bombing the government at noon, right?
Right.
And so it's a little wacky. It's a little strange. And it has the recipe for how to do this in here. And it can be done locally on a small LLM. So it's just another way to make people freaked out about LLMs. So that's number one.
Yeah. There you go.
Number two,
it works in the world of words and wordplay. And so of course something like and the vast, computational capability to match patterns and all these things. So yeah.
And so hiding in plain sight. So why is somebody saying this weird thing you don't know about a recipe? Well, in fact, it's a hidden message.
It's a
message. You don't know it.
Yes.
All right, number two, by a bunch of academics at the Indian Institute of Technology, David versus Goliath, can small models win big with agentic AI and hardware design? And this is interesting to me because what they did was that they looked at trying to take small LLMs and then use agents to work with them through flows, through decomposing a task, iterative feedback, correction, and so on. And it thus means that you can use less technology, less cost, less compute to do things. And at the same time, you're training these agents. And so you created a structure that can then work with other small LLMs. So I found that I love looking at these things that people are working on in the papers. Another area people are working on a lot these days is how to make LLMs, trained models, forget things like copyrighted material or bad things, right? And you see paper after paper working on this stuff. And then number 3,
Getting closer.
because we want to prove that you think this whole AI thing has no value. You think it's just worthless. You think it has nothing. Well, let me tell you, folks, it can be used for real-time cricket sorting by sex.
Okay.
Juan
And all it
Manuel
takes is this-
Cantorero Angulo and Dr. Matthew Smith from the Illinois Institute of Technology and the Universidad Politécnica de Madrid came up with this because the issue is that crickets are seen as a potential major source of protein. But to really work on them well, you need to be able to breed them. And to breed them, you've got to figure out the boy crickets from the girl crickets. And that's obviously a difficult task. So they used a simple construction of a bridge that the crickets walk across, or whatever they do, hop across, with a Raspberry Pi and an LLM to sex crickets.
And
Coming
that
to
is
your
Raspberry Pi
home
computer,
near you.
not actual Pi. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. And then there's another image. Is that right? Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it sorts the cricket. There's a little arm there that then sorts the crickets. Boys go here, girls they go there.
Interesting. So is it just
I love
that
technology.
I'm just looking at my own pattern recognition. Male does not seem to have a little thing coming out of the tail. Female does. Did I just figure it out?
I think you might have figured it out, but now do that at scale, fella, smartass.
Right. Okay.
And not only
fine.
that, but move the little critters in the right space.
Yeah. Okay,
You think
all
you're
right,
so
cool.
smart.
I thought so. I thought I came up with something very novel there, but no, not at all. Thank you for illustrating these wonderful examples in this section.
Jeff's Podcast Showdown.
Science.
There we go. Science. All right, we're going to take a quick break. Then we got a few speed round items, and then we'll get you out of here. So hang tight. We'll talk a little bit about, what is it? Oh, AI browsers. Yeah, we got a few things related to AI browsers coming up. So hang tight. Okay, so what? We're not supposed to like AI browsers anymore? Is that what's going on?
Danger, Will Robinson. Danger.
Always,
Yeah, they're
always
doing all
danger.
kinds of bad things. Maybe reverse these two. Perplexity's Comet AI browser was found to be quietly erasing Google Drive. Once you give it access to your stuff, it can do things with your stuff.
So be careful when you give it access to
Be
your
very
stuff.
careful. Right. So that's just one example, and there's others. You know, if it can do things in your email and so on, and your drives. So Gartner, the analyst, according to the Register, is now advising to block all AI browsers for the foreseeable future. Just don't use them.
It's just saying
which is too bad.
It's too murky out there.
Yeah. But I get it. I mean, I with the Comet browser with Perplexity, I eagerly got it. I signed up, and I used it, and then I thought, I don't know, and so I took back the permissions.
Okay.
You still use Comet, right?
I do. I don't really use it for agentic stuff, but I use it.
What do you use it for? Just organizing your tabs and that kind of stuff?
When I'm creating rundowns, I open a lot of links and I have to synthesize a lot of information, and then I'm writing a script or whatever, like handwriting a script, and I find it can be useful sometimes to get like a general summary of the story that I'm reading to kind of form the basis of how I describe something, and then to go into the article and verify the facts. And if I do that outside of Comet Browser, I have to do a lot of copy and pasting. Copy this URL over to here into a chat window, type out the command, hit enter, copy and paste it back over here. With Comet, I just open up all the things and then I just give it the actions on the things that are open, and it does it.
Which I don't see any danger in that. And I think Gartner may be
Yeah,
going overboard
it's
here
not
a little bit,
agentic.
because they're complaining that, oh my God, there's sensitive user data such as active web content, browsing history, and open tabs. Well, that's exactly what Jason wants to use it for, and it does it for that. It's fine. I think the danger comes when you tie it to your Google Drive, anything on your own machine that's executable, Gmail, and such. That's where the danger
When
comes
it's
in.
doing actions for you, and that's just like that's a general cautionary thing around agentic actions. Period. Is yes, you are giving something else full control over whatever you give it access to. So be careful and ensure that it doesn't do those things.
Yep.
And so the responsibility does also fall, they need to do a good job on the side of the browsers to make sure that as best as they can, these things don't run amok. But you, as a user, you also have to have responsibility over what you give it access to. And I which is not to say that I don't agree with what Gartner is saying here. I think it's important to be cautious.
Well, the thing that I love best about browser when I used it was to be able to say, take this and send an email. I love that. Take this and add this to my calendar. I love that. But then it had access to my Google Drive.
Yeah. See, it's funny. I have hardly used it for anything like that. Maybe
I did
if
when I was in
like,
demo
had it-
mode.
Yeah.
Maybe I
okay.
wouldn't.
Yeah. Maybe if I had like fully committed to Comet as my everyday browser, which it's still not my default. I use it for. I open it when I prepare for a show.
Right.
Maybe if I had gone all in, I might get to that point, because it seems to take me a while to like go, oh, you know what I could do? I don't know why I never thought of that before. It takes me longer than I think it takes other people to do that. But anyways, let's see here. OpenAI, a few ChatGPT integrations to know about. First of all, Instacart offering a new experience inside of ChatGPT. So this allows you, so you're using ChatGPT. Hi, Bronson. Using ChatGPT to, brainstorm recipes or whatever, and you can turn that into a quick grocery checklist, or that gets imported into Instacart.
And this makes
use that
perfect
to fill
sense
your
given that Fidji Simo, who was at Meta and then was the CEO of Instacart, is now the CEO of product at OpenAI.
Oh, okay.
So the
All right.
synergy becomes apparent there, that if anybody was going to integrate the two, it was going to be Instacart and OpenAI.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I mean, that makes a lot of sense, that if you're using ChatGPT for that sort of thing, it would be nice to just be like, okay, let's take it over here. And we're just going to see more and more partnerships that make things like that possible, like Adobe bringing Photoshop Express or Express and Acrobat into ChatGPT. So, feasibly you could edit your images, build your designs, work with PDFs on a deeper level inside of the chatbot, inform it, instruct it. I will definitely be testing this out just because I use Adobe's suite of products on a regular basis, but you can kind of see like what that might look like, and it taps into, has a little call out like Adobe Photoshop, and
This is a dumb question because I don't use Adobe that much. Is there a branded equivalent or would-be equivalent to Nano Banana in Adobe, or instead is AI functionality just weaved throughout?
No, Adobe has Firefly. That's kind of their AI, generative AI product.
So does that include it in
Firefly.
this?
Well, that's a good question. Yeah, actually, I don't know. I don't know if that is part of this.
Because it's kind of redundant then, potentially.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like if you're already in ChatGPT and you want to do certain things and you feel comfortable, or
Well, the way it's
and
better,
you know that
it-
eventually you're going to bring it into Photoshop or whatever, then,
Right, and Photoshop is more in your control.
So users can
So
now
it's-
tell ChatGPT to use Photoshop to edit specific parts of the images, remove or blur the background, adjust exposure, brightness. This
So
is
it's
from the
another way to
TechCrunch
use it's a UI. It brings
Yeah, I
the
guess
chat
so.
UI to Adobe products, which is very interesting.
How does this differ from instructing ChatGPT to remove or blur the background when Adobe Photoshop isn't integrated is a question that I have.
I kind of trust
Because-
Adobe to do a better job of it.
I mean, they certainly
ChatGPT could
have
add
the-
a sixth finger.
You never know. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I want to play around with it to kind of understand the delineation.
It'll be interesting
there.
to hear your report. Yep.
Yeah. See if it actually becomes useful, or if it's like, oh, like, do we quickly head down the road that we headed down with Google Assistant, where it could do a bazillion things because everyone was baking integrations into it, and yet you didn't use any of them because you didn't know they existed, or whatever the case may be. Don't know. But nonetheless, I'm sure we'll see more of that as a general trend. And then speaking of trends, we've got... Dang, why did I just do that? There we go. We've got Google's year-end trends report for search, year in search 2025. And I don't know if you did an exhaustive look through this. I didn't. I relied on Search Engine Land, Danny Goodwin.
Well, so
who wrote
what's
up
interesting
at
to me
least a
about
few
this-
things about this, but yeah.
It's not just what was in it. It's also how Google presented it this time, which is really interesting AI. So if you go back to the year in search, and let's say go to entertainment, if you would,
Let's
go
see
to
here.
scroll down.
I see.
You're there
Okay.
now. Scroll
Yep,
down.
there we go.
Yeah,
Got it.
entertainment. Yep.
Oh,
And then go to, come on, Google. Come on, you can do it. Click on it. Click
What
on
am
the
I doing?
plus. Click on the plus. Click on
Okay,
entertainment.
There we go.
There you go. Okay,
Got
right.
it.
So actors, the trending actors. Mikey Madison, Louis Pullum, Isabella Merced, Song Yi Woo, and Caitlin Deaver.
Okay.
I'm old. I don't know any
I
of them.
know. Like,
I'm so out of it. But
May-
Google now
give me a
does
picture.
me a favor. It has catch me up in AI mode. Click on that, and a very handy page comes up explaining each of these. And it starts to make you see how a smart publisher could use AI mode in what they do. Jason has thinking turned on, so it's taking a lot of time to do it.
Oh.
Mine came up pretty quickly. But it, it should be the same. Mine came up pretty quickly. So
Here's the contact.
Mikey
Okay,
Madison was the
so-
most searched actor globally, following her Best Actress Oscar at March for portrayal of Brooklyn sex worker and Honora. Okay.
Okay.
Right. So it wouldn't have been hard to Google all of these people. It would have
But
been
here
hard
you
for
are
a
on a
media
list.
company to insert all of that. But this is a nice, easy way to say, okay, here's a list. Boom. Teach me more. And it made me think of a new way for media to operate using AI. Expand this for me. Explain this to me. That kind of button should be everywhere on sites.
Interesting. Okay, so yeah, you've got the Catch Me Up in AI mode integrated into there. I'm gonna file that away and to remember that in a few days for an unspecified reason. Let's see here. We got podcasts, we got books, all different kinds of trends throughout everything. Oh, and you can go back in time to see what was trending in a different year as well. Does it include the AI mode thing there too? No, it doesn't. So it's only the current one that gives you the AI hooks, it looks like. That's neat. Hum to Search. Oh, wow. Interesting. Hum to Search. Trending songs. Top. Golden. Hunter X. That was the animated movie on Netflix that just took the world by storm very unexpectedly. Ordinary. Okay, so these are all the songs that people hummed into their search box to try and identify. That's interesting that they call that out, but that's super fascinating to me.
Another
Cool.
thing I use
Well,
Google Maps, I search on Google Maps most for is their first listed area, which is bookstore. I'm always asking for bookstore near me. That's a good sign for humanity. People are looking
there
for
you go.
bookstores.
Yes, indeed. And speaking of, why is that important? Well, for Jeff, it's pretty important because Jeff is a writer of books, an author of books. You can go to jeffjarvis.com, find Hot Type, at least a pre-order for Hot Type, his upcoming book, his latest book.
Just
Also,
finished the
Gutenberg
copy editing
parentheses.
on Monday.
How do you feel?
Okay, it's I'm going through for the 20th time, and I'll give you one example. I meant to say either 1800s or 19th century. I said
Yeah.
18th century, which is 100 years off, and so then I'm scared to death what other stupid mistakes like that are through it. It's a book about
Oh,
Otmar
yeah.
Morgenthaler. I misspelled his name twice. Frightening.
Look, we are humans. We are imperfect. It's just the way it is. Yeah, that would drive me in like crazy, wondering what's in there that I haven't caught yet, because I know there's something. And for me, there's probably a lot of somethings. So there you go. Nonetheless, it's going to be fantastic when it comes out. Hot Type. You can get Gutenberg parenthesis magazine and the Web We Weave right now as you wait. That can be your your warm up for Hot Type when it arrives. AIinside.show for everything about this show, all the ways to subscribe, find all of our episodes, including the episode from a few days ago with XR director Justin Payne from Google. Definitely check that out if you have not already. And then patreon.com/AI Inside Show is where you can go to support us on a deeper level. We appreciate when you do that. We have some amazing executive producers who help us each and every week. Dr. Do, Jeffrey Maricini, Radio Asheville 103.7, Dante St. James, Bono Derrick, Jason Neifert, Jason Brady, Anthony Downs, Mark Starcher, and Karsten Samachki, who did confirm that I got it right for the most part. So yay, Karsten. I'm happy I'm happy that you told me that. I can sleep easy tonight. So thank you for supporting us on a deeper level. Thank you everyone for just watching and listening and subscribing and review us on Apple Podcasts. Still waiting for a new review to appear there. I'm just going to keep saying it. It'll happen one of these days. And I think that's it. Definitely check out Jeff's other podcast, by the way, Intelligent Machines. He's going to be on that this afternoon.
Where Jason was last week, subbing for
me.
me.
It was a ton of fun. I was subbing for you, and I had a blast with Leo in Paris. So check that out, too. All right, going to wrap it up. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. We'll see you next time on AI Inside. Bye.